right. Do we got Bruce? Bruce, you here, boss man?
I can hear you all right. How about yourself?
Yes, sir. I'm good. We can hear you loud and clear, my brother. Thank you for joining us. And for those who don't know, ladies and gentlemen, joining us tonight on the Trap or Die podcast, we have Bruce Nolan. Bruce covers the Bills on multiple platforms, SB Nation's Buffalo Rumblings, and the Bruce Exclusive, which is part of the Buffalo Rumblings podcast network. How's everything going for you today, boss man? It's been a good day for you?
Yeah, it's been a good day. Anytime you're coming off a victory week, the job gets a little bit easier. And so much like you guys got a W, job gets a little bit easier. Bills got a W, job gets a little easier.
Yes, and a 35 point beat down at that, man. And look, Miami didn't seem to have everything. Like they seemed out of whack, man. But at the same time, Buffalo, especially on the defensive side, they were just pretty. They just executed flawlessly. It seemed like, or damn near perfect, if anything. And it was pretty good to see on the defensive side of the football. So Bruce, let me ask you this question. Understanding that Washington is in the position that they're in, just from a overall organizational standpoint, and Buffalo has gone through the transition or transformation that they've gone through under Scott McDermott. Just help our listeners out and walk us through the trials and tribulations that Buffalo has gone through to now being considered AFC title contenders.
Well, the first thing is they didn't have to deal with dogs barking in the background while they're trying to do a podcast. That's the first thing that they didn't have to go through, that I unfortunately have to go through on some occasions. However, they did have to deal with big personalities. They had to deal with, I know it's every single coach in the world's job when they come in to say things like, we're going to change the culture. Everybody says that. Sean McDermott, just like every other Buffalo Bills head coach before him, said the same thing. The difference is he actually managed to do it. They were good in identifying very early on the players that were going to be a part of their future and the players that were not. And being able to find people who are going to buy in after years and years of being asked to buy in to another coach, another regime, another scheme, only to see another year with no playoffs is a big ask. Telling these players, hey, I understand that you have been through multiple people before. I get that. I understand you just came off Rex Ryan, but I need you to hang in with me a little bit longer. That's really difficult. When you trade away Sammy Watkins and Ronald Darby for picks and things, and you get players coming back who are not quite their caliber, then you think to yourself, okay, now I'm asking even more from my team. So it's a matter of being able to locate the players who are going to buy in while you're making maneuvers that cause the remainder of the NFL and even some people in your own fan base to think you were tanking. A lot of people thought the Bills were tanking in 2017. They ended up making the playoffs that year. And one of the things that really benefited Sean McDermott is that making the playoffs year one granted him instant credibility in this franchise. You get a nice long leash when you break a 17-year playoff drought. They're like, listen, man, we're about to build you a statue. You went 9-7. So for them, it was a real significant part of building the culture early. Then after that, it was a matter of getting the quarterback. And Josh Allen came in his second year. The Bills went back to the playoffs again. And a lot of people bought into Josh Allen. So this team, they bought into Sean McDermott first. And then they bought into Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane's handpicked quarterback. And if you buy into the quarterback and you buy into the coach, you're probably going to buy into the system. You're probably going to have a lot of buy-in. You're going to believe in the franchise and where they're going. And that's where Sean McDermott was able to get this franchise moving in the right direction.
So from a fan perspective, just understand that you are in the Bills community. From a fan's perspective, what was the temperature like on a quarterback like Josh Allen, especially his first couple years, and then that explosion the previous year, and now where we're here in 2021, it's only 2 games in, but statistically, and there has been some moments on film and in games too where he's kind of is looking like these aren't the same. This isn't the 2020 Josh Allen. What has been a fan base viewpoint over the years of Josh Allen, how they came around on him, or were they always in on Josh Allen when he got here?
There was a certain section of the fan base that was going to be in regardless. And there's always going to be that section of the fan base. You have that section of the fan base too. These are the people who are true believers. Every draft pick is the best idea in the history of mankind. Every free agent signing is the best idea in the history of mankind. These are people who don't actually have opinions before the decision is made. So before the draft, they have no opinions at all. And they keep that open so that whatever the team decides to do, they can come back and say it's going to be great without being intellectually dishonest. They just have no opinions whatsoever. And then whenever you have a contrary opinion, they sing things like, well, so you think you know more than the team? That's what those people say.
This is why they're the coach and you're not.
Exactly. Oh, this is armchair quarterbacks. This is the reason why. This is the reason why there's always going to be a subsection of fans in any fan base that are going to be all in regardless. But deep down in the recesses of their heart of hearts, where they don't want to talk about it, a lot of people in this fan base didn't want Josh Allen. They wanted Josh Rosen. They wanted Sam Darnold. They wanted Baker Mayfield. They didn't want Josh Allen. When they drafted him, they said, well, I guess he's our Josh now. And then there was a certain subsection that said that the year the Bills went 10-6 and went to the playoffs in 2019, that was good enough from Josh Allen. Even though he was bottom third in the league in a lot of major metrics, and the team was winning in much more so due to their defense than due to Josh Allen, they said, he's the guy. I'm convinced he's the guy. Because the last time they saw the playoffs was with Tyrod Taylor, who they thought was not the guy. And then the last time before that was 17 years prior. So they said, oh my gosh, a hand-picked quarterback from this regime who made the playoffs. Let's go. I'm in. So then there was a second wave. The first wave was always on board. The second wave was we made the playoffs with Josh Allen. The third wave was 2020. Was okay, he's playing at an elite level. This is the 13-3 MVP votes, arguably top 3 quarterback in the league sort of play in 2020. Now, all the people who were a little bit gun shy about giving him $258 million guaranteed, they're starting to feel a little weird now, 2 games in. They're starting to feel ghosts of Carson Wentz start to come around and grab them around the neck while they're sleeping. But for the other people, they're like, listen, man, it's 2 games, right? Josh Allen had 2 games that were equivalently less desirable last year. He ended up having an MVP level season. People have bad games. It's a sample size issue. So for a lot of fans, where you're at now depends on when you came on board.
That is an elite response. That is an elite response right there. So
actually, Jamal, I wanted to ask Bruce this really quick. Well, since we were on that note, what's the pulse? Because around here, everyone always hates the offensive coordinator. So now Scott Turner's the guy that everyone hates in this fan base for whatever reasons. What's the pulse of the fan base regarding your offensive coordinator, Brian DeBall? I mean, do you all give him credit for Josh Allen, or does the fan base kind of iffy on him because of his prior resume?
I would love to tell you that that's a uniquely Washington football team fan base sort of thing, but it's not. The hatred of the offensive coordinator is really a defense mechanism from the fan base. It's because it's so much easier to hate on the guy in the booth who you don't see on the field because you don't want to admit to yourself that the players aren't playing well, because it's a more complicated fix. In the mind of fans, firing and replacing the offensive coordinator is easy. It's not, mind you, they just think it is. So what happens is whenever the offense isn't playing well, it's the offensive coordinator's fault. Why? Because we don't want to admit that the $258 million man isn't playing well. We don't want to say that because the ramifications of that acceptance are more significant than, well, let's just fire the guy in the booth who we never really see. In our head, it's out of sight, out of mind. So the offensive coordinator is the first one to get blamed anytime something bad happens. And it was the same with Brian Daboll in 2019. There were a lot of people who wanted to fire him in 2019. Then in 2020, they got muzzled. And now all of a sudden in 2021, they're going, look, see, Josh just made Daboll look good for a year, but he's really holding him back. He's holding him back. Why are we doing all these dumb things? And anytime something is creative and it works, then it's brilliant. If it's creative and it fails, then it's cute. Oh, we try to get too cute. Mind you, if the flea flicker works, they think it's brilliant. If the flea flicker doesn't work, then it's too cute. It's just so easy. It is the path of least resistance amongst fan bases to blame the offensive coordinator. So the Bills fans do it too.
Wholehearted. hard in the trenches. Ask a nigga what he benching. Triple digits, nigga. Don't forget to mention. Whole hard in the trenches. Ask a nigga.